Today we're going to visit a castle known not only for its beautiful architecture and medieval art, but for its rich history, the Château de Langeais. While this chateau might not be as majestic as some of the others we have visited, its importance in French history cannot be overstated. Located just off the Loire River, this land was a seat of conflict from the very start. Count versus Count, England versus France. This chateau changed hands every few years. Around the year 1000, two powerful counts, Fulk Nera, the Count of Anjou, and Odo I, Count of Blois, had a decades-long rivalry. Apparently, they traded towns, followers, and insults throughout their life. Fulk Nera founded and ultimately defended this fortress overlooking the Loire. During the Plantagenet Empire under King Richard of England, also known as King Richard the Lion-Hearted, the chateau was fortified and expanded. The French king, Philippe Auguste of France, was able to recapture the chateau in 1206. During the Hundred Years' War, the chateau was occupied by militants, but in 1422, King Charles VII, this cheerful-looking fellow, bought the chateau and had it destroyed, leaving only one wall of the keep standing. This 10th century keep is the earliest example of Romanesque architecture in the region, and one of the oldest in France. In 1465, the French King Louis XI won back the land and decided to build a new chateau. From the outside, he built it to look like a fortified castle. And on the courtyard side, it's a beautiful, calming residence with a lot of windows. The next major historic event happened here in 1491, but let's head inside and look around before we get to that. When you enter the chateau, one of the first things you'll notice are the beautiful tapestries. These tapestries were purchased and installed later, but date from the 15th and 16th centuries, and are part of an outstanding collection of medieval and Renaissance tapestries. They depict scenes that were popular in the Middle Ages, such as chivalry, sacred history, hunting scenes, nature, and allegories. Here you see Christ, surrounded by the Virgin and St. John. This one is of a more secular nature. It's a Flemish tapestry of the killing of a stag, where the quarry is offered to the dogs, who drink up the blood from the stag's split belly. Cute, huh? This beautiful tapestry is astrological. It was woven in Flanders around 1530 and serves as a reminder that it would have been impossible to make a decision without first consulting your astrologer. Here, dawn is surrounded by Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and in the corner, Leo. Okay, so let's get to the main event. Here we enter a room with wax figures and a film of the projected narrator, actor Stéphane Bern. These wax figures show up in a few French castles. I won't pretend I'm a fan, but if you can get past the cheesiness, the story is quite compelling.
À présent, vous et moi sommes invités à partager un moment crucial de l'histoire de France. Ce mariage, vous allez le voir, va changer l'histoire de notre pays.
This is Anne de Bretagne. When she was only 11, she inherited the Duchy of Brittany. Originally, she was betrothed to the King of England and Wales, which would have combined England and Brittany. But that fell through, due to murder, and she was soon betrothed to Maximilian, the Emperor of Austria. They were married by proxy, which super bizarrely means that the Austrian ambassador put his naked leg into Anne's bed in full view of her advisors and courtiers, and this symbolized a consummation of the marriage. This is King Charles VII. When he found out about the marriage, he was furious, since it breached treaties between Brittany and France, and he sent his army to retaliate. Maximilian stayed away, and Anne was forced to surrender and agreed to marry Charles instead. She was only 14 years old. But due to that marriage, which took place early in the morning in this very room, Brittany and France were united into one for the first time, and Anne went on to become Queen of France twice, but that's a story for another time. It's thanks to this marriage that the France we know and love today exists at all. In 1866, Jacques Siegfried bought Château Langeais and began restoring it to the state it's in today. All those tapestries, those were his doing. In fact, it is now the most furnished chateau in the Loire Valley. Siegfried then bequeathed the chateau to the Institut de France, which still owns it today. The Château de Langeais is located a 55-minute TGV ride away from Paris, and the SNCF train station is 5 minutes away on foot.